Alright, you all drop in because we have got something that is lighting up the internet right now. A woman just went all way off in her video about tariffs, Trump corporate greed, and why she's no longer riding with the Democratic Party. And let me tell you, she did not hold back. She's breaking down Trump's tariff strategy like it's chess, calling out billionaires for passing costs to consumers, questioning economists, and challenging the idea that America should vote in the wars bill. Oh, and before you assume anything, she makes it very clear 2024 was her first time voting Republican. But here's what's wild. The backlash in her comment section unreal. People are mad. Some say she's wrong about history. Some say she's spreading propaganda. Others says she's finally saying what they have been thinking for years. So today we are diving into what she said, the logic behind it, the reactions it sparked, and we are asking one big question. Is she actually wrong, or are people just afraid to admit she has a point? Get ready because this conversation is going to challenge everything from how you view tariffs to how you defy being pro American. Hit that like button if you are not afraid of an unpopular opinion, and let's get into it.
Let's have another conversation about these tariffs because apparently a lot of people are upset that we're actually excited for this. The comment section on my last video about tariffs is exactly why we all say that Trump is playing chess and you guys are playing checkers. When you're playing chess, you have to maneuver. You have to think about moves that are 10 steps ahead of what you are doing. Checkers is not that complicated. You guys think you have the entire game figured out because you're analyzing one move that he's making and you're not thinking about the next 10 moves that he's going to make. These tariffs are one step in like a 10-step plan that is made to accomplish four things, which are to remove income tax on anyone who makes less than $150,000 a year, to bring back $1 trillion in revenue, to cut $1 trillion in spending, and to bring manufacturing back to the United States. You guys are never going to be able to figure out Trump's strategy if you keep trying to break it down piece by piece instead of combining the pieces to make one giant puzzle. And a common sentiment that I was getting in my comment section is that tariffs caused the Great Depression and the stock market crash of 1929, which is not true. When the Great Depression happened and the stock market crash happened in 1929, tariffs had not even been in place for almost 10 years prior. 1913, we created the income tax, the Federal Reserve, and the central banking system. This is what replaced tariffs. Fast forward like 20 years later and you have the stock market crash, which is further proof that our money does not need to be in the hands of the government because every time we give it back to them, they mismanage it. The reason they have convinced you that tariffs don't work is because tariffs don't work for the government. Because if you notice, every time in history that we get rid of tariffs, it gets replaced with more government involvement and more government regulation. And this is a big reason why I discourage people from investing in the stock market, because you are putting your money in the hands of someone else and you have no control over that money once it's in there. If that company goes under or if some big scandal comes out about that company, guess what? You just lost money and you did nothing. I have never understood the stock market. All it is to me is a way to make rich people richer because you're investing in these companies that you claim to be so against. Like, have we not figured out by now that government institutions are a scam? Like, colleges are pretty much a scam. Insurance, a scam. Credit, a scam. So yes, the stock market is another example of a scam. They convince you that by investing in their companies, you are now on the same playing field as them and now you have stake in the company, but you will never, ever, ever be on the level of the people that own the stock market. So what are you doing? And I could be wrong on this one. This is just my personal experience, but I have never met someone who has made it to billionaire status by investing in the stock market alone. So I guess I just don't understand how we can be so anti-government and then yet every time something happens, you guys side with the government every single time. And did you know that it's not actually the government's fault that you have to pay the tariffs? It is the choice of the company whether they want to absorb the tariff themselves or pass it on to the consumer. So again, the blame is not to be on Trump, it is to be on the billionaires of these corporations who, instead of eating the cost that you know they have the money for, decide they want to pass it on to the consumer. And did you guys ever think that if Trump does bring manufacturing back to America and say they do get a tax break, that maybe they would eat the cost of the tariff because now they can afford to do so in their eyes? You guys are so dead set on being anti everything that Trump does that you can't even see situations logically. You cannot see both sides of an argument. And you know what? Maybe I am wrong. Maybe the tariffs will not succeed. But damn if I'm going to sit here and hope that my country fails. And another side note, you guys already know that people like government officials are bought off and doctors and lawyers and judges can be bought off. So why would you not think that economists can be bought off too? The entire point of everything that Trump is doing is pro-America. It is to buy American, to support America. So I don't understand why as Americans, you guys keep taking the most anti-American stances on everything. Because I think it's funny how you guys want to keep saying that we're so wrong for imposing tariffs on these other countries, but you guys say nothing about the tariffs that these guys have put on us. Why why is it wrong for us to do it, but it's not wrong for them to do it? Because believe me, they're getting plenty of money without those tariffs, okay? They get tariffs from us, and not only that, but they also get all kinds of federal money and foreign aid and all this stuff. All of our money is just supposed to go to other countries forever. I mean, honestly, at this point, is it so hard for you guys to just say anything positive ever in your lives? I actually feel sorry for you if you are living from this, like, scared, what is going to happen to me mindset, because that is terrifying to live in. And I know because I was in it. A lot of you guys see my videos and you think that I'm like diehard Trump and diehard MAGA. Trump in 2024 was the first time that I had ever voted for a Republican. And this is why, because Democratic policies don't work. Okay? What has improved in our country over the last 20 years? Apparently, according to y'all, we're worse off than we ever have been. So how have the Democrats helped us at all? And to be honest, for all this money that's going out to other countries, how have they ever helped other countries either? Yes, things might be a little better, but I don't see anybody that is absolutely thriving based on the money that we have given them. Ukraine and Russia are still having the same problems 20 years later. The Middle East is still having the same problems they've been having for 30, 40, 50 years. And we've been over there several times claiming that we were going to fix it. Honestly, I think at this point, some of you should join us over here, because over here we have freedom of thought, okay? We're not afraid to question what is going on and say the unpopular opinion. But sure, we're the ones that are in a cult. Trump just proved to everyone that he is the ultimate negotiator. This is the chart of the reciprocal tariffs that he presented, and most of these are not even half of what the countries are charging us. But this is actually a great starting point. They're not so high that it would start a trade war and piss everybody off, and they're not so low that we're not getting anything out of the deal. And that right there is the piece that the Democrats and the mainstream media have been missing this entire time. We can renegotiate the tariffs they have on us, and it will make our products cheaper now. I mean, honestly, Trump kept saying short-term pain for long-term benefits. All I'm seeing is short-term benefits and long-term benefits.
Well, Lilo, that's because you're in a cult, unfortunately. But here in reality, when all the prices go up at the store and the stock market totally collapses, we wouldn't call that a short-term benefit, like at all. You know, we would probably call that a short-term total fucking disaster. Okay, now Lilo, I'm glad that you enjoyed Trump's big fake chart full of nonsense. And I appreciated your Goldilocks review of the numbers, stating that they are not too high, not too low, but they are just right. As if you would know, Lilo, as if you would know how high or low a number should be before a trade war pops off. Oh, well, I guess you didn't fucking know, so add that to the list of things that you don't know. Now let's get back to this fake chart, Lilo. Okay, you see that entire blue and white column? Every number in that line is fake. All of them are lies. Let's just knock out a couple of them. Trump says that the EU is tariffing our ass at 39%. No, that's a lie. The actual number is somewhere between 1 and 4.8%. Now let's talk about Cambodia. 97%? God, you guys are gullible. So the actual number is around 30%. Okay, so not 97. So that is another lie. And Lilo, we're tired of using squishy language with you guys. This chart is not an exaggeration. It's not, he's negotiating, bro. He's not being taken out of context. This chart is a bullshit, easily disprovable fucking lie. Just like the charts that Elon shows you with babies stealing from the government or 300-year-old people taking Social Security, these are lies. Easily disprovable, bullshit fucking lies. And Lilo, you guys would know this if you ever had the courage to check whether or not Trump and Elon were lying to you. But you don't have the courage to check that because you know that if you did, you would find out that they are outrageously full of shit and your entire worldview would crumble overnight. Kind of like the stock market. You know, kind of like that. Anyway, Lilo, let us know when all those short-term benefits start kicking in. Alright? And in the meantime, have fun over there with your fake chart full of nonsense. Alright, good luck.
About this. On the left Googled this and found out about it yesterday and has spread it around, and now you all are taking it as fact.
Sweetheart, you wouldn't know a fact if it was clipped onto your head like a cheap extension. But I have a dream. Someone might listen. It could even be you. So when we look at history, you should be looking big picture. I am guessing you aren't capable of pictures of any kind, big or small, but let's try it together. So in the 19th century, after the Civil War, you see the rise in individual wealth, particularly in the North, and the rise of the Gilded Age, and really a widening of the gap between the wealthy and the poor. I am guessing you might understand that gap but don't realize you do. With the rise in the rich, they also had more pull on the government, and they want to make it even harder for people in the United States to buy things that were made anywhere else because they wanted to make more money off of them. Is this sounding familiar? No? Okay. And as a result, we had increasing tariffs from the 19th century to the beginning of the Depression, starting with one of the biggest ones in 1922. Though there were more, this is from 1920. And this is important to know because often economic issues will continue to compound. So an act in 1922 can have major ramifications all the way to 1929. What happened in this case is we had more and more tariffs, plus this is the beginning of credit. So people who had no money because the wealth was sucking up the money were buying things on credit, and the economy crashed. And if you look at this map, then they tried to fix it. But the tariff of 1930 isn't even close to the tariff of 1922 that caused the Depression. And we're coming off of a very strong economy because partly we had low tariff. But there is a win here. There's the opportunity for you to explain to those penguins what Trump has against him.
It's been months since I've posted anything on here. And hey, TikTok's getting banned in like 36 hours, so what the fuck does it matter? But I'm going to do this anyway because I need to talk about this. This creator in their own post is kind of fighting for their lives in the comments because commenters are rightly pointing out that tariffs are taxes. They're import taxes that import companies pay to bring goods into the country, right? And then the import company turns around and raises their price to offset the higher cost to them to bring the good into the country. And then that just goes right on down the line until eventually you get to the end buyer. You know, you go to Walmart to pick up whatever this is imported from overseas, and you will pay a higher price there because everyone in the chain that got the product to the shelf at Walmart has paid a higher price because import tariffs. And then they go on to say that if corporations would just eat the cost of the tariff, then they wouldn't have to pass it on to us as the buyers, right? The consumers wouldn't have to pay higher prices because corporations, I guess out of the goodness of their hearts, because they're definitely people, should just eat the cost and absorb it. Famously, in these United States, in 2025, corporations are well known for absorbing costs and definitely not passing them on to their buyers or consumers in the form of higher prices. That is definitely something corporations do in these United States. What a great suggestion.
You gonna hang your hat on this one, a businessman, and be like, ooh, he's gonna get you all on this one. So proud of what he's done today. A businessman, that's what he is. He's filed bankruptcy 6 times. I believe, if the count is accurate, and some of these are ongoing or multiple lawsuits that have been filed, but in the last 30 or 40 years, something like that, he's been involved in over 4,000 court cases. He's been brought up on defamation charges. He's been brought up on sexual assault charges and in fact had to pay a civil liability for one. He's been brought up on not paying people that have been involved in his businesses, real estate lawsuits, casino lawsuits. And then there was, Trump University, if you remember that one, where he was found to have defrauded all of the students that went to this quote unquote university of his. I think he paid out over $25 million in damages in that one. Trump Water, Trump Airlines, all the things that he's done that don't really suggest, big businessman to me. So that's what you're proud of, the fact that he's a businessman and not a politician. And a really, really successful one too, right? That's what you're happy about. We'll see how this one ages for you.
Lilo is why you can't call Trumpers stupid, even if inside you're wondering.
The comment section on my last video about tariffs is exactly why we all say that Trump is playing chess and you guys are playing checkers.
They go on to say that Trump is going to cut the budget and bring back American manufacturing, as well as remove taxes for the lowest $150,000 earners. So this is a classic Trumper. They have some of the facts. They talk about the taxes that were put in place in 1918, ignoring the taxes they probably don't even know about that happened at the Civil War. They talk about the 1930s tariffs and are like, see, you people are stupid because you didn't know those happened after the stock market crash. And so what you're seeing is somebody who has some of the facts and has been trained to lash out at anybody who disagrees with them. And underlying it, this is not stupidity. This is that in our education system, we have very carefully ensured that we have a voter base that really is not very literate. And I don't just mean textual literacy. It's a fallacy to equate textual literacy with the kind of literacy holes that we have here. These are critical thinking holes. And that's what they want. They don't care if she can read as long as she can't read between the lines. They don't want someone who can construct meaning appropriate, right? Because these are people who will draw lines between the dots. And because you haven't taught them how to figure out the system and pick the right order to draw those lines, she'll draw any old line. And it's not stupidity. It is a system that has created people like her on purpose because they will vote and they will vote against their self-interest, right? She is basically cheering for a system that's going to make it cost more for her. Statistically, Trumpers are not getting tax breaks the way that many Democrats are because they have statistically higher earnings. So basically, she is here shilling for someone who doesn't know she exists, who does not make any decisions to make her life better, and who actually is working pretty hard to ensure that the love she has for him will be paid through her hard earning and dollars. And that's mind washing. That's a brain that wants to have the system to think but can't. And that's a systemic failure of education in our country.
Because you're analyzing one move that he's making and you're not thinking about the next 10 moves that he's going to make.
I mean this with all sincerity. Donald Trump doesn't have 10 more moves in him. He doesn't. He doesn't. He is not some mathematical genius. He's not a chess player. He is a pigeon that shits on a chessboard. Why y'all keep trying to make this man out to be this goddamn genius, I will never understand. I will never fucking understand. This has got to be the weirdest shit I've ever seen in my entire adult life. Every time he does something fucked up, y'all out here talking about, y'all ain't seen the psychological and the moves within the moves that he ain't got that in him. Come on. Come on. This is not fucking Sherlock Holmes we're talking about here. We're talking about a pair of Yeezys with a hole in the bottom. This man, come on, man. Y'all gotta stop this shit. Like he's doing some sort of 3D chess with the moves. No, he ain't. He's doing stupid shit because people paid him to do it. He's doing exactly what Project 2025 wanted him to do in first goddamn place. You motherfuckers y'all got to be kidding me. Y'all gotta be kidding me. And this is why y'all want him to have a third term? Y'all keep trying to act like this man is some sort of a genius. Donald Trump is a genius at marketing. That's it. Marketing. He sold y'all a bill of goods and you motherfuckers are still lapping it up. Still. You judging this one move, not looking at the 10 other moves in Do you think eliminating income tax is somehow going to help poor people? Think about that. Eliminating income tax is somehow going to help the poor. No. It's going to help the rich. You just going to get hammed. You just going to get a hand shoved up your ass in order for it to happen. These aren't strategic moves. These are the moves of a fucking squirrel on cocaine. The fuck are you talking about? Y'all ain't seeing the 10 moves he making the other. That man ain't Kaiser Soze. He's Kaiser dumbass. The fuck are y'all? The other 10 moves he making it. Like this man is some sort of a chess genius. Man's rancid potato salad with raisins in it. Get the fuck out of here. His next move is just gonna be to contradict the fucking move he just made before. Come on, man. Y'all gotta stop with this shit. Donald Trump said you're genius. No, he's not. He's good at marketing. Y'all still out here talking this bullshit.
Let's talk about tariffs, because apparently being excited about them is now controversial. But here's the thing, if you are only looking at the surface of the issue, you are going to miss the entire strategy. Too many people are analyzing Trump's tariff policy like it's a game of checkers, move for move, short term, rational. But what this woman is pointing out, and rightly so, is that what is happening is more like chess, strategy, international, long game thinking. She's absolutely right when she says that tariffs are just one piece of a broader economic plan. You can't judge the success of a policy like this based on solely on the initial impact or the first headlines. Trump's plan isn't just to slap taxes on imports and call it a day. Is to shift the entire structure of our economic system. The goal, according to her breakdown, is to do four things: eliminate income tax for those making under $150K, bring in $1 trillion in revenue, cut $1 trillion in spending, and rebuild American manufacturing. Now, whether or not this plan works depends on execution. What the concept is not new and is not crazy. For a big chunk of American history, this country was funded primarily through tariffs, not income tax. Income tax wasn't even a thing until 1913. Tariffs funded the government, built our infrastructure, and yes, protected American jobs. And yet, when Trump tries to bring back on a version of this model, the media explode with outrage. Economists flood the airwaves with fear, and the internet melts down. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Many of those economists and media personalities work for or are influenced by global corporations and institutions that benefit from the current system. Why would they want tariffs when cheap foreign labor and global supply chains help boost profit margins? And that brings us to the next point she made: corporate greed. People love to point fingers at the government for inflation, price hikes, and economic pressure, but rarely do they acknowledge the role that corporations play in these outcomes. When tariffs are imposed, companies have a choice: absorb the cost or pass it on to the consumers. And most of them, despite record profit, choose to pass it on. So no, the blame isn't solely on the government or Trump or tariffs themselves. The blame is on billion-dollar corporations who could afford to take a hit but refuse to. These companies take advantage of every loophole, benefit from tax breaks, and then cry foul when asked to actually support the American economy. And let's be honest, if Trump's plans works and manufacturing does come back to the US, that production tax break could incentivize companies to finally eat those tariffs and stop punishing the consumer. But the nuisance is lost on people who are hell-bent on opposing everything he does, regardless of whether it benefits them or not. This woman's commentary isn't about being pro-Trump or waving a MAGA flag. It's about recognizing that the policy being proposed are, in her words, pro-American. And for the record, she wasn't even a pro-Republican voter until 2024. That is important because it proves this isn't blind loyalty, it's a reaction to policy that she feels are actively harming the country. So let's step back and ask, what has the establishment done for us lately? We have had over 20 years of interventionist foreign policy, trillions in aid to foreign nations, and decades of outsourcing jobs. And what do we have to show for it? Ukraine is still at war. The Middle East is still in conflict. We have spent trillions of dollars and lost thousands of American lives. And for what? Meanwhile, our infrastructure is crumbling. Our schools are underperforming. Healthcare costs are skyrocketing, and our middle class is shrinking. But people are still more comfortable defending the status quo because the idea of supporting anything remotely aligned with Trump is too triggering. And yet, here's the kicker. They are doing exactly what they accuse his supporters of doing: acting one emotional instead of logic, writing off entire plans without even understanding them. This woman dares to ask the unpopular questions: why are we okay with foreign countries putting tariffs on us, but we throw a tantrum when we return the favor? Why is it always our responsibility to police the world, fund global conflict, and clean up after everyone else while we neglect our own? Even more importantly, why are we still putting faith in the institutions we are known are corrupt? She lists them off: the government, higher education, the healthcare system, insurance, the credit industry, the stock market. She calls them scam. And while you might not agree with her 100%, ask yourself this: when was the last time one of these institutions truly worked for the people? Take the stock market. It's marketed as the path to wealth, but in reality is a tool used by the ultra-rich to maintain and grow their power. Most everyday investors barely break even. The idea that we are all in this together because you bought a few shares of our Apple is laughable. You are not on the same level as the people who own the board rooms, and deep down, most people know that. So here is where it lands. She is not saying she has all the answer. She's not pretending to be an economist or a policy expert. She's even admits, hey, maybe tariffs won't work, but she refuses to root against her own country just because the plan came from someone she didn't vote for in the past. That is something more people should consider. We are on the moment right now where questioning the mainstream narrative gets you labeled cult member, conspiracy theorist, extremist. But what she's offering isn't extremism, it's a challenge. Think for yourself. Stop siding with the government every time they feed you fear. Start asking why some policies are demolished so aggressively, and who stands to lose if they actually work. You don't have to love Trump to see that some of these questions are valid. And if you truly believe in freedom of thought, then we should be able to have these conversations without the name calling, without the mod mentality, and without the automatical shutdown. Because maybe, just maybe, she's not playing checkers, and maybe either is Trump. If you found this video thought provoking, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment below. I want to hear your thoughts, whether you agree or disagree. This platform is about real conversation, not just echo chambers. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.